Authenticity is such an interesting and complex topic. And I wanted to share with you something that came up in conversation and that I think is really helpful to be able to better understand what authenticity looks like in our communication, in our interactions, in a very tangible way. So what I hear is a lot of times people equate authenticity with showing up exactly the same with everybody. And I'll just say, for me, I think that this is nearly impossible to do. I will never show up the same with my partner as I show up with my boss, as I show up with a total stranger, right? I'm going to act differently with each one of them based on levels of trust and past experience and all of these different things. But what I want to give an example of is something that might be a helpful, let's call it a lighthouse, right? Something that is a helpful guide for how you can start looking at how to be more authentic in your communication. And it's the difference between consistency and congruency. So consistency says, this looks exactly the same every time. Meaning maybe it's my morning routine. I get up, I put my feet on the ground, I go brush my teeth, I make my cup of coffee, and I do all of this at exactly 7 a.m. and whatever it might be, right? That might look super, super consistent. But when we're talking about communication, it's much more dynamic than this. And so congruency, how I'm defining it in this case, is aligning my actions in this moment with my values, my drivers, and those things that are my deep held and hopefully conscious beliefs. Now, the crazy thing is that when we are acting congruently with how we want to show up in life, with those beliefs and values and drivers, it may look inconsistent from the outside. I'll give an example. And I've given this example in the past, but I had two clients that came with very, very similar situations. The first, I smacked them around, right? Like we had a reality check that was pretty brutal, and I did it with as much love as I possibly could. But in that moment, I felt like they needed that reality check. The second client, man, that was just a little love fest. Because what I felt in that moment was that they needed to feel a lot of self-compassion. They were already beating themselves up so much that they didn't need another voice telling them, hey, it's time to get in line. They needed to remember that they are wondrous creatures and that they are loved and that they are trying their best. And so they looked really consistent from the outside, or really inconsistent from the outside, right? Because one I was really harsh with, and the other I showered with love. But I was congruent to my desire to be present with what's there, right? And I trusted my gut feeling, I trusted my intuition, and the feedback that I got after both of those sessions was, man, this was exactly what I needed, right? So the next time that you are looking into that topic of authenticity, how do I communicate authentically? Focus a little less on looking exactly the same with everybody, and focus a bit more on understanding your values, what's driving you, and how you can bring those out in your words and your actions with everybody that you meet today.